Hey y'all, Mario Ariave here with Utmost Performance. Just getting back from a ride. Pardon the fact that I've got the jersey open. It's fall here in Texas, which means sometimes that humidity and a little bit of warmth kind of sticks around. Have you guys ever heard of Zwift? It's really cool, right? This virtual platform where you can train inside. A lot of us have been using it during the pandemic, myself included. Plays a lot like a video game. A lot of fun, get to meet people. You even get to do some races. And guess what? This morning, that's what I had on the calendar. I had a couple of races that I was looking to do. Actually, it wasn't a couple of races. It was one race. But can I tell you guys one of the really neat things about the Zwift platform? Ready? Here it is. If you don't do well in a race, or if you get dropped early in a race, it's a virtual platform. So you can choose to just exit out of that one. And there's a ton of other races to choose from. So you can pick another one. That would be me this morning. I hopped on the trainer, I warmed up, and then I got to the starting line for what was race number 1 of the day. Got in there, got going, legs felt good. But in a mental lapse, a moment where I kind of wasn't paying attention, we were going up this little climb. I had never done this course before, and I decided to get in behind a guy, and I saw a little bit of a gap open, and I said, that's not a big deal. We'll get that back. We didn't. And guess what? I had to make the decision to go ahead and tap on the screen and quit that event. But the nice thing about this was I had another race coming up. About 5 minutes later, it was supposed to start. So I sign up and I hop into that one. And I'm going and I'm racing and I'm doing all right. And this race also had a climb. It was a 2-lap race. And on the second lap, going into that climb, I got dropped going into the finish. I was in a group with a few guys and there were a few guys up the road. And this is where it got interesting for me, because I wanted to win. I was racing to win this particular event. I think the same group of guys had done the same thing to us on the first lap. They hit it really hard on that climb. They got away from us. And then we just chased and chased and chased, me and 1 or 2 other guys, a lot of guys sitting in. But I told myself, I want the front group. I want to bring these guys back. I don't want to race for what was going to be 5th place. I want to race for 1st. So I worked with a couple guys and we brought them back and we made contact kind of right before that climb came up again into the last lap here. And I kind of figured I knew maybe what they were doing. I think they backed off a little bit, let us catch. Then we got on that climb. They jammed it again. We had been chasing for a while, so we were pretty gassed. And then they opened that gap up and they got going again. Well, now we're talking about 3 kilometers from the finish, 3.5 kilometers from the finish. So I had a decision to make. What am I going to do? Do I just sit in and play for 5th, or do I try to go get these guys? And I made the decision to try to go get them and to race hard. And that was what it was. I ended up finishing 7th. Not a big deal. I just kind of wanted to go through the mindset of, kind of how I approached the event and how I decided to, strategize or race the event. And then after that was over, the day's work wasn't done. I had a specific amount of work that I needed to do on the day, and I had not yet reached that specific amount of work. So I had a decision to make. And just, again, being in the garage, I was indoors, hot and muggy. I decided to take my bike off of the trainer and to go outside on the open roads. And once I was outside on the open roads, I had some optional intervals that I could have done, in addition to the race that I did in the morning. And, my legs didn't necessarily feel the best after the 2 races, I'll call them. It was really 1 race and maybe a half of another. But what I decided to do was I decided to just ride and tell myself that I was going to go ahead and do these intervals. And so I'm riding And I began to talk to myself, the self-talk. And here's how that went. I told myself, all right, you haven't had the best day indoors. You did that first race. You weren't paying attention. Your fault. You got dropped. Then you exited out of that one. You did the second race. For whatever reason, you couldn't keep up on that little hill and you got dropped. You made a valiant effort to race hard, to race for the win, to not give up. And that's commendable. But you got to leave all that behind now. Now we're on the road. Now you've got this 20-minute interval coming up that you've got to do, and you've got to give it your best effort. But what I also needed to do in addition to that was I really needed to just unhitch the expectation that I was going to successfully complete this interval. I had to be okay with not completing the interval successfully in terms of the metric, in terms of the power number that I needed to hit. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I had to just be free to just open it up and let my legs do what they were going to do and be okay with the outcome regardless, as long as my effort was there. Now, once I got going, I was thinking very positively about the effort. I was thinking very positively about the interval and telling myself, if you're going to be out here, let's get it done. And I did get it done. I did hit the interval. I did reach the metric that I needed to reach. But it did take this. I brought the Zwift. If you bring the Zwift racing into that interval, then rationally, I'm going to be thinking to myself, if you got dropped in these races, if you didn't have a good morning, on the trainer, then what makes you think that you're going to have a good session out here on the road and you're going to be able to hit this interval? It just doesn't make sense. So I had to really fight myself and say, it doesn't matter. You're out here now. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to focus on. And it ended up being a really good day. So listen, I want to leave us with this. Why was it a good day? It wasn't a great day. It wasn't a good day because I placed highly in my races. It wasn't a good day because I hit this interval outside. It was a good day because I took all of that and I faced some adversity, mainly from myself, mainly some negative self-talk, but I faced all of that. And in spite of all of that, I continued to push myself and give my best effort. So there it is. I end up with a training session that I can be satisfied with and I can be proud of. That's the recap. There it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Lots of other content on the channel, so browse around, click on a video, watch it. Share this channel with one person, please. Let them know what we're doing here and what we're putting out. Subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss any of the new content when it drops. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.